it feels to me like a crystallizing kind of moment, in part because of the horrific nature of it, but we've been watching horrific things all along. One of a string of horrors, but it's one that has such powerful symbolism that for many people has crossed a line, and they're responding. Abolitionist Massachusetts Senator Charles Sumner, sitting at his desk in the Senate.
1856.
1856, at his desk, and a Southerner comes over and basically beats him to the ground with his cane, Preston Brooks of South Carolina. The symbolism of that, an abolitionist senator in the Senate chamber at his desk with a Southerner literally beating him to the ground. You couldn't miss the meaning of that, particularly after all of the other incidents that had just been happening. It was a crystallizing moment. In and of itself, it might have been. But the absolute power of it was because the Americans they'd been trained and primed for 10 days before. Oh, look, another Northern senator is being beaten by a Southerner. So that was how I looked at Renee Good's shooting and killing.
One of the things that has frustrated people like me anyway, is that a lot of stuff has been happening for a long time. And no matter what we said, we felt like we didn't get traction. When we talked about Project 2025 and the mainstream media said, oh, Trump says he has nothing to do with that. And our heads are exploding going, they're also saying people are eating cats and dogs. Why are you listening to him? And people were not prepared to say, oh, right, this is really bad. So that shooting, they had enough of a background to say, oh, yeah, this is really bad. It enabled a lot of people who, even if they intellectually could say, hey, it's a really bad thing for police officers to break the back of a person in custody, or it's a bad thing for a police officer to kneel on someone's throat until he dies. I mean, you could look at that, but it didn't feel real to you. A young mother leaving school, having dropped off her 6-year-old with the stuffed animals in the glove compartment, an awful lot of people could look at that and say, oh my God, this is not just an abstract idea. That literally could be me. And in the past, when that has happened in our history, that's when the fever breaks. When D.C. Stevenson, who's the leader of the KKK in 1924, kidnaps, rapes, and murders Madge Oberholzer, the support for the KKK falls off a cliff. When all of a sudden, people who weren't really paying attention necessarily to the bad stuff the KKK was doing, I mean, in rural areas, a lot of people initially thought it was like, oh, we get to go have picnics and talk about how great America is. They take a look at that and they're like, sheesh, we don't want to be part of that. I also think that you will respond, as I did, to that video that the administration released yesterday, thinking it would exonerate the shooter, where she says, I'm not mad at you, dude, or like, hey, it's okay, I'm not mad at you. That is de-escalation 101. And it suggested she was the dominant figure. She was the person in charge there. And when he saw that, he shot her in the face to say, no, I'm the one in charge. And that all of us have been in a situation like that, where there's a verbal struggle for dominance, and you give the other person a gun, all bets are off. That's everybody.